everybody, and welcome to What's the Story podcast. This is WTS 304. My name is Danny Murray.
And I'm Graham Merrigan. Hi, Danny.
All right. How are you, my friend?
Good. How are you? Well, I've had the worst dose of my life.
Yeah,
So I'm still
you've been struggling.
Struggling last week, man. Struggling. I've
Yeah.
never had that like it before in my life. Couldn't lift the head off the pillow.
And you're on the Invermectin and it's cleared you up.
Yeah. Is that the stuff Trump took?
Yeah, that's the stuff, wasn't it? Him and Joe Rogan were peddling it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, about that, yeah.
Invermectin and Trump. Well, I mean, let's not forget Donald Trump is the man who suggested people ingest bleach
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
cure to disease. The
And
absolute,
many people died by doing that. But
absolute fucking Fruit Loop. And here we are staring down the barrel of him going back in power. Fucking mad kip.
4 more years. It is a mad kip. I mean, as someone who can be done for defamation of $83 million and can
Yeah.
still run for presidency is just bizarre to me.
It's
What is it? Does he need, I know that was a civil case. Does he need a criminal case? Is it a conviction before? Like, how many
no,
times how many different cases has he got for court?
yeah, well, that's it. I mean, like, I've lost track of them all. But it's I suppose it's all up in the air, isn't it? Rather, it's actually going to do March, I believe, is kind of when we'll get an idea if the Supreme Court are going to rule one way or the other. Rather, he can run, you know.
Supreme Court's run by Republicans, is it not?
Well, this is the thing: is aren't four of the seven appointed by Trump? Didn't his
Yeah.
first term just happen to coincide where there was just people retiring and dying left, right, and
Yeah.
centre on the US Supreme Court, and he stacked the bench with, you know, people who are seemingly forever in his debt, which is very interesting.
Very very interesting, very convenient.
The
Everything is
mental,
so weird, and when he goes back into power, it's going to be even more weird
yeah,
because
the
you've got
mental
Russia,
gymnastics
Ukraine,
that,
got
yeah,
Russia, Ukraine. He's pro-Russian. He's pro-Putin.
yeah,
They're just going to stop arming Ukraine. Then he's pro-Israeli. So
yeah,
I mean, people have messaged me over the last couple of months, since the war on Gaza, saying, "Oh, this would," suggesting maybe that this wouldn't have happened if Trump was in power. You're kind of, hold on. Trump
this man who
relocated
moved the
the
embassy,
capital. He moved the embassy, like,
yeah,
you know,
like
to
the,
Jerusalem, Israel, he said. Do you know what I
the
mean? So Trump, in regards to Israel Palestine, Trump,
make
you
no
know,
mis- make no mistake about it. Yeah, make no mistake about it. The
exactly.
mental gymnastics that are required to kind of level off the ground on which you stand when it comes to anything to do with Donald Trump is just, it's too much. It's too much, and it's not worth it. And I think I'll be spending my time on the internet watching funny animal videos going forward
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah. Because there's
yeah,
nothing else to watch.
couldn't be bothered with it. We'll get to our best guest very quickly, Graham. But is
Yeah,
there anything else you'd like to discuss? Do you want to talk about the Royal Rumble at all?
no,
No, you don't. Very well. Okay,
not
grand.
particularly.
We just thought we might want to, but that's all right. That's fair enough. Guess there'll be not a lot of preamble this week. Do you want to just introduce the guest?
I guess this week is musician and activist Martin Leahy. How are you, Martin?
Good. And yourself?
Good, good. When you're called an activist, how does that make you feel as opposed to just singer?
Yeah, it's well, both activist and singer are new for me. I've spent most of my life as a session musician. So it's in the last kind of 3 or 4 years that I started singing myself and writing my own songs and stuff and releasing my own stuff. So the whole thing is new. So it all sounds very alien.
Brilliant. You first came into my kind of radar when I went to see Christy Moore. I'm going to say I'd go and see Christy Moore maybe 4 or 5 times a year. So I'd say it was probably towards the end of last summer, or maybe last July, August. And he sang your song Snowflake. And he directed the audience to your music and also to your campaign outside Dail Eireann. You go out there weekly, and all in the name of the housing crisis.
Yeah, I go up there every Thursday, and I stand outside Dail Eireann for an hour, and I sing. I'm after writing a song called "Everyone Should Have a Home," and I sing it on a loop for an hour outside the Dáil. Gets kind of weird, but it's a protest. It's not meant to be comfortable. So, yeah, I've been doing that for last Thursday was week 90. So I basically got an eviction notice to move out of my house, and I just I had heard, I was aware of the housing crisis, but I always kind of figured I lived in the country, so I always thought I'd be okay, like, and you know, I'd always get somewhere cheap, usually, um, you know, uh, damp, cheap place
Yeah.
available somewhere. But even that wasn't available to me. Anywhere that was available, there was a huge problem with availability, of course, and then anywhere that was available was just way out of my price range. And I I felt really kind of painted in a corner, and I didn't know. That was the only thing that I could do anyway. Was like that was my response to it. I felt pretty powerless looking at the reading about the article, the articles in the paper. So I
Hmm.
wrote a song, and I went up one day, and I just stood outside the gates and just sang it, and it felt very worthwhile. And the more I did it, you know, the more kind of worthwhile it felt. And it's still like I'm kind of just going from week to week, but it's still, as long as it feels worthwhile, I'll keep doing it.
So you said it's week 90, so coming up on 2 years. Have any of the politicians engaged with you? Have you had any sort of success in them coming out and sort of saying like, we hear you, Martin, and we know, like, have you any of them at all spoke to you?
Well, I've had a huge amount of engagement from politicians in the opposition, but
Yeah.
but nobody in power, um, bar one,
Okay.
who his name is Christopher O'Sullivan, and he it was just a real non-event. He just came out and said something to the effect of like, keep going, well done. So
Right. Is
um,
is that kind of part of the problem that, you know, the guys in power tend to shy away from, for want of a better word here, confront. I'm not saying you're the only to confront them, but they shy away from the difficult conversations from somebody who has lived experience of the housing crisis having a direct impact upon their life.
I think it is, yeah. Um, and I think you're right, and I think that's part of the reason why it's grown into this monster. It's this
Mm,
kind of not facing up to it and seem to be completely ignoring it or rabbit in the headlights, or I don't know. It's yeah, but I think you're right. I think that's definitely part of it. Yeah.
yeah. And in terms then of like, so obviously your background, you said you're a session musician, and I'd love to chat to you a little bit about that as we kind of go along. But what 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 made you want to kind of channel the frustration and channel your experience into a protest song then?
I suppose it's initially it's I suppose it's just a way of processing it. It's processing what you're experiencing and what you're reading about and what state the country is in with the housing crisis. So I suppose
Mm,
initially it's just that, and then when it turns into something that's maybe sounds like something you can put out, um, it just I suppose it was the situation I was in.
yeah,
Basically, is what drove me to putting it out and going around singing it at protests and outside the Dáil and stuff. So yeah, initially I suppose just processing it, and then um, turned into activism, which is a very new thing for me.
yeah. And when somebody like the great Christy Moore then takes it up and brings it to another level, how did you react when you first heard that?
Yeah, it was a very odd thing because I was playing at the Ireland for All rally.
Yes.
It was there last year, so I was playing like there was a bunch of us, and we were walking around, and we had a mobile PA, and we were singing songs. And someone, when I got home, someone had sent me a beautiful video they took, and they really captured a kind of a moment, like we were all singing under the bridge there, just outside Custom House. And so it was a really nice moment. It was a great day, actually. And so I put the video up on Twitter and TikTok, and the trolling was something vicious altogether. Like
Yeah.
it was off the scale, and it was just vicious. And on TikTok in particular, there was people of color in the video, so they're really going for them. And it was so bad I had to take it down, you know. So
Jeez.
yeah, it was just vicious. I was just, but if it was just directed at me, I would have been all right. But so I took it down. So I felt really defeated about that. So I wrote a song in response to the trolls called Snowflakes. And I basically wrote it as a kind of a way of like, the next time these people with Irish flags and no names, fake names, and I'm going to put that song in every time,
Yeah.
as a response to them from now on. But Christy saw it, and he got in contact with me, and he asked me could he use it, which was a bold, it was really out of the blue, and it was absolutely brilliant, and I'm a big fan, and it was just amazing. It was an amazing positive thing to happen out of something so dark and negative initially,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I like most recently, obviously the Christy Moore Vicar Street gigs over the Christmas, it sold out 12 nights. I was lucky enough
Yeah.
to be there 4 of
Oh,
the 12, but I know somebody who was at all 12, and he played the song every night.
oh
And
wow.
the reception he got every night, I mean, the 4 times I was there, the reception he got was marvelous. Even the first line got a round of applause, and he seems to start the song with no instrument
Yeah.
and says it as a poem, and when he finishes the first line, there was rapturous round of applause after the first line, and
Mm.
then he gives it welly. Like but I was actually there when you were there in the crowd that evening.
Oh,
Like, what was that like? Like, I mean, you hear a lovely response to the song that's everyone is feeling the same way, but you got to write it down in words, and now it's being played, amplified by an icon.
yeah. It's yeah. It's really surreal for me, because the whole thing is kind of new, writing songs and releasing my own music. So it's like it's the kind of stuff of dreams that Christy Moore will be doing a song, but but of course he adds a a whole other kind of way to it, and he's changed it around a bit, and all really good stuff, like. And so yeah, it's really interesting to hear him singing it. But yeah, it's totally surreal experience, like, and just a huge buzz, like, he started doing it last year, maybe around, I think I wrote it around March, and he started doing it around maybe May or April or May. And
Right away.
yeah, it's just a huge buzz. Like, I'm kind of totally hopped up on it ever since.
And I mean, the
The whole
song is
experience.
about something that happens in terms like if you're gonna be writing songs about Palestine or about the housing crisis or Ireland for all, unfortunately, you are going to get negative reaction. How have you dealt? You've dealt with it by writing a brilliant song, but I mean, is that part of that side of it? Is it off-putting at all, or do you keep fighting?
It is off-putting. As I said a number of times, the whole thing is new. So definitely that element was new. I was just a person on Facebook who'd have your own friends, and it's all feel good
Mm.
stuff. Like, there'd be nobody coming at you. Um, but yeah, so it's like, and it does. That was my way of dealing with it, for sure. But it does have an effect. I hate saying that in case any of them are listening, but we're probably all listening to Jordan Peterson. I'm all right, but
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Wrong
uh,
podcast, Mark.
Yeah, yeah. But it does have an effect, I must say it does. It some days you just, if you put up a post, like it happens a lot with the housing stuff, it's like it kind of started with that, incredibly, like the main line in the song is everyone should have a home, and I didn't expect that people would find an argument with that, but
I
yeah,
saw some
people
trolls
do.
actually saying, "Oh, does an Albanian man deserve a home?" Then it's
Yeah,
like, what?
all that kind of stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah. um and there was I was playing up in Fermoy at a kind of a welcome rally for immigrants up there
Mm.
last year, and a kind of a well-known
Oh,
far right
yeah.
guy. Yeah, he was like standing in front of me and like basically shouting at me while I was singing the song, saying like, "What about the Irish? What about the immigrants?" Like it's fucking like the line couldn't be more clear, But yeah, I suppose it's part of the script that they don't think that everyone should have a home, and if it wasn't immigrants, they'd be going after people in addiction, and they'd be going after,
Yeah.
poor people, and so yeah,
There's it's you seem to be in this kind of amplified state of us and them, or well, not
yeah,
all of that particular cohort seems to be in an amplified state of us and them, and this notion that them, uh, they're somehow making
The
your
enemy.
life, they're making your life less than. They're taking bread from your table, all this kind of stuff, and it's a bizarre concept. To Irish people who have fled to every corner of the world and seeking a better life in a better way at times. So when you've got guys like that who are kind of screaming at you when you're performing or whatever, I can only imagine the different emotions that must come up in terms of one, probably wanting to tell them to just fuck off, but then also a sense of kind of like, I don't know. For me, I kind of feel sorry for them in a way.
yeah. I think you're right, because I listened to your podcast. I can't remember the name of the people, but it was about conspiracy theories. It was really
Mm.
brilliant. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Brent Lee. Some there call it conspiracy. Is yeah,
really good. And that issue came up about it being kind of based on fear and people feeling vulnerable, and you know it was kind of great that that was covered, because like it is hard to feel sorry um, for people like that.
mm,
But I suppose I feel less sorry for the kind of grifters at the top that are kind of, I feel they
excellent
I
point.
feel that they know that they're telling lies, But
Absolutely.
I was at a counter protest up in the Shelburne Hotel there last year, and it was to counter some protest that the far right were having, and I was up there singing my song, and um, I didn't like it at all for those reasons. The people that I could see on the other side were just people that were hoodwinked and left down by society from the time they were born, and
Yeah,
it felt all wrong to me to be shouting and screaming at them. Of course, the shitheads at the top, definitely they're liars and they know they're lying, and they're just, whatever they're up to in life. But yeah, so I do, and I it was great to hear that kind of covered on your podcast about that. Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's something that probably doesn't get discussed enough. And I know we had Aoife Gallagher on. It feels like a lifetime ago now, and Aoife wrote a book called Web of Lies, which delves into the world of conspiracy and how it's evolved, particularly in Ireland and that kind of thing.
But
And
she
there's
predicted a lot of the things as well.
Yeah, she did, and I think that piece around kind of like what you're saying, Martin, is 100% true. That there's the vast majority of people have kind of been hoodwinked and they've kind of been sold this song, and then there's that layer at the top who know exactly what they're doing, and they're just turning the knife and they're just manipulating what is a very raw, powerful emotion in fear. And
yeah,
yeah, we've seen flashpoints in Ireland, and I don't want to fear monger or anything like that, but it's a dangerous, dangerous thing to be happening. And I think the only way to defeat that is to have conversations and to talk about it and just to try make people see that this sort of thing is going on. But sometimes, that feeling of being powerless against it is definitely prevalent anyway,
Definitely, and yeah, and people in general are like are sound. Really,
Yeah.
most people are and yeah. So I think it's and there was somebody giving me the percentage. I wish I could remember it. Like
Mm.
of people that there was a poll done, and there was some figure regarding the people that are actually concerned about immigration, and it's a very low percentage actually among the
Mm.
general public. So this kind of issue is probably being, the people at the top of that kind of those far right movements are very loud, and they do know how to make a lot of noise, and
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
But
yeah,
like you said though, it's like it's almost like at the start of COVID with the conspiracy theories and stuff like that. It's an industry. All of that now with
Yeah.
the lads at the top, it's an industry. They're making money off it. They'll start to GoFundMe and say, I'll need this, that, and the other for posters and this, that, and the other. Nothing's accountable. Then I mean, look at America with its industry of even the evangelical route in America. I mean, they're multi millionaires, and none of
Mm.
them give philanthropy. None of them are philanthropists.
Sure.
They're all grafters. They're all great grifters, and
Look
it's
at
the
look at look at King of the
same with the
Grifters
race.
himself.
Racism is an industry now in America.
Yeah, look at King of Grifters himself there, Mr. Trump, who he's just being done for 80 odd million in a lawsuit, which supporters are probably going to foot the bill for through donations because of his email campaigns, and it's like it's alarming, But
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it certainly is, and it is an industry, and it is like people do make careers out of it. I think that thing
mm,
that happened with Tucker Carlson was really interesting, where
yeah,
he basically was caught saying that he didn't believe these things that he was saying, about Trump and stuff. It's like I must admit I was hoodwinked by him. I thought he was genuinely, you know, I thought he genuinely believed what he was saying,
yeah,
but
Yeah, but he recovered, didn't he? He recovered and has his own talk show now.
yeah, it seems that way. Yeah, it
yeah,
does. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm on your side there, though. I was like, of course. How can he be? How can he be like almost living a lie? But it's an industry as well. Like
yeah.
Yeah.
The almighty dollar. That's how.
the almighty
Yeah,
dollar, exactly.
yeah, making a whole career out of it. So I guess loads of people do see it as an industry, and they just don't care about the humanity element of it, and will just go for it and try and make money. Yeah,
That's it. Martin, you just to change gear a little bit here. Yeah, you mentioned kind of your background being a session musician. Tell us. I'm always fascinated when we talk to musicians, purely because, and a session musician particularly because, the versatility of the art comes to mind when you talk about that kind of thing. Tell us a little bit about your career doing that and kind of what led you into kind of saying I'm going to go out on my own with this with some gear.
yeah. Well, it was basically, I suppose, over 20 years, maybe 22 years of being a session musician. Um, Part of that involved with being part of bands as well.
Mm,
So I was in various bands and playing with just loads of people. I kind of wouldn't know where to start, but be leaving people out as well. But
yeah.
yeah, I suppose I played with a traditional Irish band called North Craig, and that like I did the most traveling and stuff. We played all the festivals all around the place, and we toured all over the world and stuff. So like that's the most kind of experience of big gigs I had was with
Mm,
them. And then I played drums with Christy Moore for a short time, and I played on one of his albums. That was years back. That was 2008 or 2009. I played with Jimmy McCarthy for a while, that famous songwriter, Noel Brazil,
mm.
John Spillane. I
Jesus.
still play with John Spillane. Um,
John Spillane,
so
the Hit Factory.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's still he's still firing them out anyway. Great stuff as well. Yeah. So yeah, so I've done loads, and then just uh, lots of studio work, playing on people's albums,
Mm.
and all types of things, bar gigs, and everything, like
Yeah, yeah. The John Spillane Cork connection obviously very strong there for you. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm playing with him now, maybe over 10 years anyway,
yeah,
maybe 15 years.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
yeah. And then what led you to deciding to kind of start going like the solo singer songwriter route then?
Yeah, I suppose it was always in my head that I had one song written in my 30s, and I found it very hard to figure. Like it was felt very hard to write the song, and
Yeah,
I was stewing over it for basically a year, trying to get it together. But I could never make out how people were able to just write them, and it always kind of it always seemed to be a thing that I couldn't access at all. But then it was when it was COVID. Like it's kind of, I still feel cautious about saying it, but it was very positive for me. I know like how hard it was and negative, and like for a lot of people. But yeah, it just gave me this space, and I started really getting into it.
yeah,
It was just before COVID. I put a song up on Facebook, just a live song that I would just written, and then I got a good reaction to that, and it uh, it really kind of spurred me on. It really made me uh, aware of like the power of positive comments and stuff. It's like it really had a great effect on me. So
yeah,
it'd be nice to think you'd be able to generate that from inside, but like it did really spur me on. And then when I had all that time during COVID, I just went at it and started to really enjoy it. And I started to be able to do that thing that I just couldn't ever figure out how people could do, just write
brilliant.
a lot of songs. Yeah.
Brilliant. I think there's something in that in terms of I completely appreciate where you're coming from with kind of almost that cautious positivity of saying something in COVID could have, but I think for a lot of people, it gave them that breather or that headspace to kind of reevaluate or reassess and take a different look at how they were doing things. And I think if there's any positives at all that came from that period of time in people's lives, it's that it did do that kind of thing, and you're a great example then of it giving you almost a creative space to back yourself and do something that prior to it you were struggling to do. So that's a kind of a great segue, a great story in terms of shifting the mindset of what was a really negative time period for people and showing that there's still a silver lining in that cloud. Like,
Totally, yeah, and I really, I often think back, and I really think that I would be still doing the same like thing, like deep in the session musician,
mm,
taking whatever gigs were going constantly, and you're kind of on that treadmill, and no space to kind of do is always in the back of your mind, and the years go by, and you just never give it time. But like in in regular life, you're not really able to give things time, like that, with that
yeah,
kind of just that drastic change that happened. So
absolutely.
yeah, it was positive for me. Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. And in terms of then kind of what's next for you, Martin? Like, is there obviously your weekly protest is going to continue, but in terms of kind of new music and gigs coming up and anything like that, is there anything that we can look forward to?
Yeah, well, I'm still doing. I still do a lot of the stuff that I was doing before.
Yeah.
So I still play with bands and stuff. I don't do as much of it as I used to. I'm playing a few. I played in the Sugar Club there now. Sunday night, a gig for Palestine.
That was with Tony Groves and co.
Yeah, yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah.
Yeah, we love Tony, an absolute gent and a man who
Oh,
does incredible work in not just in the podcasting world, but just in terms of setting the record straight, I suppose I'd
yeah,
say.
yeah. Really good. Yeah, yeah. He was my kind of like a go-to thing on Twitter. Like I
Mm.
find out what's happening in the world. But yeah. So it
It's
was great.
it must be odd as being from Cork, and obviously Tony has his political issues with Cork and that kind of thing. So I
Yeah,
suppose you have to practice forgiveness there, I'd say.
ongoing issues. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, good crack. So yeah, and my my next solo gig is Christy is doing a gig for Palestine in Vicar Street, and he's asked me to come along. So that's a
Brilliant.
huge, yeah,
Amazing. That's March
yeah,
6th. That's sold out in about 20 seconds.
yeah. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was the same with his the Christmas gigs. They were sold out in an hour or something. Like it was something mad.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think the Marquee sold out as well down in Cork. I think
Okay,
that's
yeah, yeah. Sure.
doing that
Look,
for like the 15th year in a row or something.
yeah,
To be still doing it as at his age and not slowing down is just phenomenal.
yeah. And
Our gigs I went over to Christmas, it felt like every gig got better.
yeah, he's totally on fire. Like, yeah, yeah. He's amazing. Yeah, yeah.
Mental.
Brilliant, brilliant. And then,
Mm.
Martin, lastly, then before we let you go, if people want to kind of check out your tunes, and if people want to follow you, where can they get you?
Yeah, YouTube, Facebook, Bandcamp, that kind of stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have a few things on Spotify, but I'm just not. I need to just be more together and put all the stuff up there. But yeah, yeah,
Lovely. And it's just Martin Leahy. Just search that in those places and they'll find you. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah,
Deadly.
Amazing. Well, Martin, look, thanks so much for your time,
Martin,
and
thanks so much for your time.
yeah.
Really
Lovely to
appreciate
talk to
it.
you. Yeah, great
yeah,
stuff, man.
and fair play on not just the songs, but also
Everything.
the protest, the activism, everything else. If even
Thanks
if
so
it does
much.
come sort of new to you, you're doing a great thing. So fair play.
Great. Thank you. Really
Keep
appreciate it.
going, Martin.
Nice to
Keep
meet you.
going, all
All
right?
right.
Brilliant. Thanks very much,
Brilliant.
Martin.
Again,
All the
All the
best.
best.
thanks, Martin.
Good chat. Good chat with Martin. A
Martin the
Cork,
gentleman. Keep on keeping on, Martin.
a Cork man through and through as well. A gorgeous Cork accent. It stands out. It just stands out in a crowd. The Cork accent, but it's great. Yeah, good stuff. I assume because you didn't want to do preamble, you don't want to do post-amble either. So I mean, this
I'm
is
look, I'm just still getting over this sickness. So
look, Graham. If you don't
um
want to talk to me, it's quite all right, mate. I
no,
mean,
we talk every day, man. You're
we
heading
do.
off to Rome now, is that correct?
That is correct. I am. I'm off on me jollies for a few days. How often do I think about the Roman Empire? Daily is the answer to
Daily.
that. For people who are
Well,
on
you
the
did
TikTok
classical
trends,
studies. So you
I
did
did.
classical studies. So
I did. Now
big Roman Empire tattoo on your calf.
I do, and the lovely Oksana is very much looking forward to me sauntering through the streets of Rome, and every corner we turned, me going, "Oh look, this is where Marcus Aurelius stood and gave a speech about blah blah blah. Oh
Because
look,
that's
this
exactly
is
what
where."
Rome is like, and it's
Yeah,
amazing. Have
yeah.
you been? Have either of you been?
Cubes has never been. I was there. I've been there twice, but I absolutely love the place, and I absolutely just love wandering around. And literally, you trip over history.
Yeah,
So
you really do.
and fucking great, man. I'm going to England versus Italy in the Six Nations on the Saturday, and on the Monday, I'm going to Roma versus Cagliari, I think it is.
Deadly this weekend.
Fucking, yeah, fucking great, man.
Class.
So, yeah, I'm getting two bites of the sport and cherry while I'm over there. And
Up to your
about,
neck in ice cream and pizza and pasta.
absolutely, yeah, you interrupted me, little fucking thing I was going to say, but don't worry about it, man.
Sorry, what did you say?
I was going to say, I'll just edit this out so it sounds clean. Don't worry. Two bites of the sport and cherry grain, but about 400 bites of pizza. That's where I'm going.
Unreal. Up to your
The,
neck in ice cream, pasta, and pizza.
yeah, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze there. That wasn't good. That was. We'll just.
The juice wasn't worth the
We'll,
squeeze.
we'll
What
just.
toppings will you get over there now, Danny?
Oh Jesus, I'll just go with the flow. So long as it's not like anchovies and all that kind of shit now. But if
Ah,
it's
yeah.
like a drop of meat, a drop of veg, I'm all over that. Give me that.
Will you be
Yeah.
queuing for the Sistine Chapel?
We are going to enter into the home of Velvet and Peterfoyle, so I'd imagine we will venture towards the Sistine Chapel at some point. Yeah, yeah.
Lovely. I wonder if Simon
Um,
Harris asked where the other 15 chapels were.
yeah, I'd imagine, given he's still looking for the other 80 in COVIDs, that he will. It's yeah, yeah. We're doing the Vatican, we're doing the Colosseum, and yeah, be great.
Amazing.
So
Have a great time. How long are you gone for?
6 days, something like that. A week, 6 days thereabouts. Yeah,
Unreal.
yeah.
6 days in Rome. Where are the dogs going?
On their holidays to me cousin Rachel and her lovely husband Mark, who have a brilliant boarding kennels, Riverside boarding kennels in Tullow, County Carlow, which when people hear the county outside Dublin, they instantly go, must be miles away. It's not, lads. It's about 45 minutes to an hour away. And for the treatment of the dog, it's like a fucking hotel they have.
Deadly.
So
The
thoroughly
dogs love
recommend
it.
it. And speaking of that, actually, speaking of Rachel and Mark, apropos of nothing, the Mark Mahon Memorial 5K takes place this Sunday in Ratwood. Rachel and Mark tragically lost their son Mark, my cousin, a couple of years, 3 years ago, I think it is, this year. And
Jesus.
they have a 5K to remember him every year, raising money for Cry Ireland. Fucking brilliant charity, a brilliant organisation. If you're on Instagram, just pop remembering Mark in, and you'll see all the details and everything. And if anybody would like to donate, I'm sure it'd be absolutely really appreciated. So yeah, just there you go.
Brilliant. Fair play.
Wasn't planning on that plug, but just as you mentioned the dogs and they're going there, I figured, well, that's a nice segue towards it, isn't it?
That's what happens with tangents and segues on podcasts. You do what you like.
Abso-fucking-lutely, Graham. Anyway, look, go on, because I need to go pack my suitcase and make sure that I pack stretchy pants.
Lovely. Well, I'll miss you anyway.
I'll be sending you vision of the Italian cuisine. Don't worry.
Yes. Thank God.
But until we'll be back next week. We've got a guest
back
lined up
next
and
week.
everything, lads. So everything's all right. But until then, Mero, people want to listen to the 300 and whatever episodes that precede this episode. Where can they do so?
They can search WTS Pod on any podcast provider. You can also go to WTSpod.com. You can go to our Twitter page at WTS Pod, or you can go to American Mania and he's at Danjo Murray. But yeah, everywhere you get a podcast, just search WTS Pod.
Fantastical. Absolutely beautiful. Graham Erdogan, until next week, my friend, clear eyes.
Full hearts.
Can't
lose.
Too sweet. I'll say it for you, don't worry.
Too sweet.